Hello.
Morning.
How is everyone?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Pretty good. And I'm going
Good.
to apologize in advance if you guys hear my air conditioning kicking on because I just heard it. I forgot to turn it off before all of this. We've already have a lot of good mornings waiting for us, including Giuseppe, who was just with us on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Glad you had a good time. Those are always kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
And
we had
right,
a good group of people on there.
it went kind of quick too for a change.
Yeah, I did, which was nice. Which was nice. Is it next? One seat over a large door, like a two-car garage. Yeah. What you have to do is every garage, every bay that you can pull a car in has to have a seed, and on your sliding door, you only use one side. So that's the side the seed goes up on that side. So yeah, it's but you do. Don't forget fireplaces and that.
Hello, Brooke. I've got your email. We'll be answering that a little later. And Natalie says, "Good morning, Melissa, Marianne. Marianne, how is Dad doing? Continue prayers
It's
for him."
about the same. We won't know anything more until he gets another head scan, to see if the brain bleed is dissipating. There's no way to know without that. So it's just sit and don't do anything and don't put your head down and don't carry anything more than 10 pounds, and trying to keep him down. I would probably go to jail if I tied him up. So he's just, what can I say?
Um, I was thinking about this last night. I'm like, maybe some good, strong industrial Velcro.
Yeah,
And we put it on the back of a couple of outfits and then a chair, and we just put them on it.
there, right.
Because at
Can't.
first I'm like, well, industrial duct tape. And I'm like, well, get them down. I'm like, oh, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like the little kid from the Christmas Story who's like, I got to go pee.
Yeah, right. As soon as it happens, he'd have to go. Right.
So I'm like, Velcro.
Yeah,
We could
yeah.
try
And
not
that
to get.
way I could just stick him to a wall.
I kind of thought that when Rune was like little,
Yeah,
I was going to Velcro a wall and put some Velcro on the back of all of his little outfits and
and
just
just stick him up there. Right,
like, mommy needs a minute.
right, right.
Like, he would probably think it was hilarious. Uh,
Yeah, see better from up there. Right.
Now he's taller than I am, and he could Velcro things to a wall that I wouldn't be able to get down. Uh, all right. Hello, hello. Anybody new joining us? Feel free to ask questions in the comments. We are live. Questions can be about earthbound spirits, ghosts, which really are earthbound spirits, negative energy, portals, fairies. Can touch a little bit on some, aliens or their sounds or what to expect if there might be some hanging around. But feel free to ask, and we will answer your questions. Those are our friends from Solon. Let's see. We have so many of our regular friends. I don't know if we have questions. Heather says, "Can't keep a good man down. I will continue to keep Ted and your family in my prayers." And
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that so much. And I think there's something to that. I really do. Positive energy is positive energy for sure. So I think that's great.
yeah, um, it's fun. You and I chat a little bit before we go live and after, and I will say, friends, I got to hear him being a little bit disobedient, and it's kind of hilarious because I'm not the one who has
Yeah,
been.
because you don't have to live with it. Right.
I
I
like
told you
punch out
before,
the
it
call.
was funny. I get stressed. I mean, I'm human. Over the years, there's things that make me stressed, and every time I get stressed, I get a cold sore. Oh, cripe. My whole top lip is a cold sore now. So am I a little stressed? Just a little bit. So,
But I'm telling you.
it's the unknown when you don't know something. And they can all everybody can apply that because that's what happens. You get stressed out when you think you have something in your house and you don't know if you do or not.
Mhm.
My stress is from him being ill, but you just everybody has stress. Go buy some gasoline. You'll be stressed. So
Yeah. And I
yeah,
have a bigger vehicle for doing shows, and I'm like, oh, so now my new rule is I only let it go down to a quarter and I go fill it back again because that's
yeah.
less.
You keep thinking because next time I come, it'll be way cheaper.
Mm,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to. It's less painful.
yeah, right, right.
Oh, we do have some new people, so welcome everybody. And I put the link up for our Zoom sessions because one of the questions that we have, speaking of the boy who's taller than me, you might see him pop around. Um, Wanting to know, is there another Zoom call planned? And
There
there
is.
is, July 8th. And this is the link to sign up. If you think you might have a ghost in your house and you want to know, it doesn't have to be just your house. You just have to be in the building that your question is about. I hope I
Correct,
made that. It wasn't too
correct.
confusing there.
But you have to keep something in mind. Let me put a little caveat here. People that want to call from work to know if there's something there. I can understand if you want to know something's in your space, your workspace. But keep this in mind. I can tell you, but
Mhm.
what can you do about it if the boss or the owner of the company doesn't know? So is it worth knowing or you know, I guess you got to put it on a piece of paper. Should I say something or shouldn't I? So, but yeah, call. I'll tell you. But what are you going to do with the information once you get it? There's the problem.
Right. And Amanda, good question. Did everyone remember to do their law of abundance checks yesterday? And I saw a couple people did, like Mary. So cool, cool, cool.
We had such a good day to do it yesterday because it doesn't peak till almost 11 o'clock at night. So nobody had an excuse for just doing it. So
Right. Um, and hello, Lisa, another local friend, and our friend Setsuko from Japan is with us. Hello. Um, yep, and a lot of people remembering to do their law of abundance check. Let's see, and yes, the Zoom is 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we love it. We love it all the time. But if we welcome anybody from anywhere, just please be mindful of your time difference and adjust. We don't hang in there all night, um, hoping that if you're 4 hours behind us, you're going to log in.
right.
Um, and everybody does get the chance to ask their two questions. So if you log in and you leave, you know, um, we just haven't got to you yet. But everybody does get to ask their questions. Um, let's see. Marianne, I think Paula says, Marianne, I think the guy you noticed on a prior Zoom call is back. I don't know if you remember maybe her Zoom session.
I remember the name, but I don't remember what I told you. So yeah. Well, keep on smudging or whatever. I mean, I don't know what you did. So come back on Zoom and let's see what you did. See what's going on.
Yeah. And today, Marianne, is your last 5:30 YouTube video.
It is. There's close to 200 of them. And seriously, that's a lot of answered questions, let me tell you. And so they're all titled. And if you go to my webpage, mariannewinkowski.com, and go to the top where it says more, MORE, and you hit that, there is pages there that say number 27 is fairies, number 48 is children, 112 is sleep paralysis. They're all titled. And so if you're looking for an answer to a very specific question, the information is there. Make use of it. That's why it's there.
Yes. Um, and Lynette says, "Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for doing the YouTube videos for so long." And that's not to say that Marianne won't eventually pop one up here and there if there is.
Right. I think a lot of questions and a lot of things are going to be answered on the podcast that will start up as soon as I get back to a little bit of normal life here. But as soon as I'm looking forward to doing the podcast. I think they'll be fun, and because you're going to interact with it. You can stick questions will still be answered,
Mhm.
but at least this way, trying something for the first time, especially with the computer and me. Yeah, yeah. But it worked out. I mean, it did. I didn't blow up the computer too many times by accidentally touching it. Surprise, surprise. So,
You got one of them really long, like rubber ended, you know.
right. And, I put my Playtex living gloves on. I think they're blue now because they wear out. And then I use a number two pencil with an eraser on the end. And I found out, those gloves go to here, so I found out that if you roll them down, at least your arms don't get so hot. Well, doggone, when I was doing that, didn't this part hit the computer? Kabom, everything's gone. So now I have to keep the gloves all the way up to my elbows. It's just not worth it.
You just need the personal assistant following you around, Marianne.
I do, constantly.
Oh, and Lynette says, "Can't wait to listen to the podcast." So, if you are new and don't know about the podcast, and don't speak, there's only like 3 episodes because we both got really busy in the last so many months. And yeah, and it's available on everything except iTunes. And that is not for lack of trying. Apple would not take it. And they always had these silly reasons that made no sense. That I'm like, my store's podcast had no problem. So I know how to put it up there. I know how to do this. And it just kept kicking it back. So I think maybe one of the easiest, I'm sure everybody is familiar with Amazon, and you can listen to it for free with Amazon Music. But it's also available with like Google, Spotify, you name it. It's on everything except iTunes. And when I was wanting to just throw my laptop into Lake Erie, I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. Just screw
Yeah,
you.
the action to just take a hammer to it.
Right. But that's where you can find it. Um, let's see. Oh, Paula has listened to some of them already. Thank you, Paula. And Melanie says, yeah, Apple Podcasts are a pain in the tail. So maybe if any of our friends who are podcasters as well, maybe they have some secrets of how to get around that. But every
Yeah.
time I got the error email, I'd follow their instructions step by step, and it would still fail. And I would send them screenshots of it happening. And I would pretty much just get that like, we don't know. I'm like, you know what? You don't want to know. And I'm done with you.
Right.
Um, Amy asks, what is the oldest time period that you have seen an earthbound spirit from?
It's not unusual for me to see them, especially in certain areas. Where they tend to hang around a lot. Hinckley has a lot of older ones, and I'm talking about suburbs close to Cleveland. So Hinckley does. Lakewood, oh yeah. There's just areas that seem to have more, but I believe the oldest one that I actually ever ran across was William Shakespeare had twins, and I ran across his twin daughter. And to be honest with you, I never even looked it up to see when she died. So I don't even know how long she's been around, but I'm sure it was a while.
And Brooke says that is the most interesting phenomenon, Marianne. Has anyone ever given you answers on to why you can't touch electronics? Is it an aura thing, a frequency thing? Words are hard today.
Who knows what it is? Just the energy around me. Just one of my sisters can't wear anything gold. It turns green. And this is like 14, 18, 24 karat gold, turns green. Um, Another sister cannot wear a watch. No matter if it's battery or wind, it won't run. So
Mm.
I don't know. We're just a weird group of people, I think. But I don't know what it is. I mean, people have guys, not ladies, but guys. Um, yeah, here, hold my cell phone, and it's like, are
Do you
you
want a new one?
crazy? Do you really want me to hold it? And it's like, yeah, yeah, I'm sure it's okay. And it's like, how new is it? Do you want to buy a new one right away? Because believe me, I'll hold it. I'll be happy to hold it for you. I liked it with, and some of them actually, well, no, computers scream. Computers make a noise when they die sometimes, a high pitched noise. Phones don't usually make a high pitched noise. But, and then after I did the one, guys, he says, well, I'm going to sue you. It's like, oh, try, go ahead. So,
Whatever, dude. Go get a new hobby.
yeah, right.
Uh, yeah, Dylan says my grandma and I can't wear watches.
Yeah, it's just energy, some kind of energy on people. I think it's just, well, that just proves we're similar, but we're certainly not alike.
Well, my mom kills laptops, not in the sense kind of like you do, but like she is forever going through laptops for the blue screens of death and just operating systems like constantly going down. And I'm like, quit touching things. Um, I can't. The watch that I wear is one of those where like motion and sunlight keep it going because I could go put a brand new battery in a watch and within 2 days dead.
Yeah,
And I got
see,
tired of doing that. But I have
exactly
no
right.
problem with this. This one has
Right.
been here for years.
See,
So
everybody's just so different. It's just weird the way that works. The last time I got my hair done, cut, uh, the girl has a computer that she puts the next appointments in. And we were doing a couple months out, and I was standing next to her little desk, and it's a computer, I think, that's called a notebook. It's like this big, okay, I'm getting the names of these things. And there she was. I was standing right next to her, and she's going with her pencil or fingers, however you do that, pushing the dates up and everything. All it was snow. There was nothing on the screen. She's going, what the heck is wrong with this thing? And she's doing it, and she looks at me. She goes, would you just back up a few inches? I backed up and I kept right. Now, I didn't even have to touch that, but I guess I was in its space, so I don't know.
here's a new service to offer, Marianne, for local people only. If you have a scheduled Zoom meeting with a corporate office that you don't want to do,
Oh, yeah.
have
Oh, no.
Marianne come in and just stand near your table and whoops, sorry
Yeah,
guys, couldn't do the meeting.
all gone. We'll put it again at another time, right?
That's right. Like, so sorry, had problems, technical difficulties. Never
Yeah,
mind.
I know, it's just strange.
So we had the question from Jeff. Do you ever come across earthbound spirits in wooded areas in the woods?
A lot of times, if I do, they're Native American, but their process, some Native Americans do cross over and go into the light, but some of them, it's their custom, it's their religion, it's their beliefs. They stay to protect Mother Earth. So the ones that I've seen aren't, they are earthbound, but it's by choice, and they don't end up in people's houses. Seriously, I know, I over the years I've had people say I have a Native American in my house. No, you don't. I no, I will argue that. I have never, ever, ever seen a Native American in somebody's house. So,
I forget what I came across in the last few days, but it made me think of how so many people are like Native American burial grounds, Native American burial grounds, blah, blah, blah. What about, you know, other culture's burial grounds.
Right.
Humans have been on this planet for so freaking long
That's right.
that it, to me, and I could be wrong, I'm not a scientist here, but like every square foot of property, there is the possibility that there had at least once at one time been a body,
There, died on that spot. Exactly right.
and
Exactly right.
there's not the romanticism to, all of these other type of cultural burial areas. So
And isn't it funny because people will say when they refer to Native Americans, they'll go Native Indian burial grounds. That's what they call it, Indian burial grounds. Everything else is a cemetery.
yeah, and there is the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard.
Yes, there is. Yes,
So
there is. And the
um,
same thing where they, especially where Native Americans use pyres and cremate them, that's a whole different area too. So, oh yeah, but everybody, you can drive on country roads and just go down a lane or something and see five or six tombstones in a little cemetery.
we,
Back in the day, that was the family plot.
well, what's funny is just this past weekend was driving somewhere. We were out near like Niles or Warren, and the off like the highway and the off ramp, like how they came together, they clearly built the road to avoid this little bitty plot, and it probably is a family, burial area, but it's just right there in
There's one
between.
going on 71 down to Columbus, too, in the middle of the freeway, right in the middle of the highway. Plus, for those people that live in Middlebrook Heights,
Mhm.
the show there, right outside the show, there is a cemetery in the middle of the show's parking lot. I I bet there's a good 20, 25 graves in there.
Hmm.
And they've got, fence around it. You can walk into it, but in the middle, and see, this is where Strongsville, when they put the mall up, they moved the cemetery to put the mall up there. Oh, yeah, no, that wasn't a good thing to do.
Caused a bunch of problems, I bet.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So,
Ted, he wasn't ever stationed. Uh, no, because he was an army. He was what, Navy, right? Air Force,
Ted was Navy. Yeah.
Navy. Anybody that's familiar with Fort Campbell, off of some of those back gates, where they do their training, there are tons of little family cemeteries out on the back area, where they're testing ammunition and stuff.
That's
Um,
right.
and you're allowed to go back into certain places. And some of it was beautiful with these little family plots, but I'm just going, well, how close are we to a firing range?
Right. You never know when somebody's going to say, let's try this one. Yeah.
Who's out in the field and what are they practicing right now? But it just, part of me, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least you put a little fence around it. But I'm like, what if you've got somebody with not so good aim who
Right.
comes in? I'm sure they know better
Well,
than you do, and they've got it protected.
the Richland, the prison down there where everybody does the tours and everything.
Mhm.
Between the one that people do tours at now and the new one, what, 1,000 feet behind them, in between the two, that's where some of the prisoners are buried that were put to death.
That's
Was that
just
nobody wanted? So they're, like I said, they're all over. We didn't understand when we moved to Worcester. Uh, we had about an acre, and so we were putting the garden in. Not the first year we were there, the second year. And Ted had got a rototiller, and we were rototilling. Came up with old marble pieces of headstone and old spoons and old bottles. Turns out that used to be an orchard. And I found out that when people went on wagon trains from the East Coast to the West Coast, and if somebody died on the train, like somebody got sick and died, there's no cemeteries in the middle of nowhere. Normally, people buried them in an orchard because they were pretty, they had fruit, they were, it was peaceful. So, turned out that people must have died somewhere very close. We were on a wagon train route because we did find a bunch of stuff that came up out of the ground. And talked to a couple professors over at the OARDC, and they said, "Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that around here. This was a route going to the west from the east, so just it's common."
Now you know how to fertilize your orchard, everybody.
That's right. Just bury a couple people in there, see what happens.
um, Giuseppe asks, "Have you ever drove in a car on a road trip talking to a spirit? Did you have a backseat buddy that you were talking to?"
Yeah, they've never actually gotten in the car, but they've already met us at a destination. In other words, where are you guys going? Oh, okay. Hey, I'll see you there. I can be there in 17 seconds. It's going to take you 17 hours. So, but yeah, they if they want to see things, they'll come along.
Let's see. Um, there's actually a lot of talk going on about Shakespeare's daughters and the history. Like Margie pulled up birth dates and deaths and names.
Oh, when
So,
did she die? Did somebody know what year she died?
she says William Shakespeare and his wife had three children. The eldest, Susanna. The twins, Judith and Hamnet, baptized. Did you get the name of the twin or?
It was, yeah, and it was Judith. That was her.
Okay.
So she was baptized in 1585, and she was about oh 45ish, I think, when she died, if I remember correctly. So yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
guess she was a little bit older than I thought. Okay. 54, 52. Oh, right. That was a long time to live back then. She
Yeah.
didn't look that bad. She didn't look that old. I remember I thought she looked pretty cool. So,
Let's see. Oh, Brooke says, though, back to fritzing or killing electronics, she says her husband has the opposite phenomenon. He touches technology that's on the fritz and it suddenly works, just starts working.
wow, he should take up Reiki. He'd be really good at that.
uh, have you ever come across a poltergeist?
You know what? I think that's just another name for a ghost. I think, you know, if it's a naughty one or one that's a prankster or likes to play tricks or that, it's automatically a poltergeist. They just give it a more important name. But I think that anyone can be called any one of those.
And then Lisa is asking if you've ever come across any earthbound spirits in Brooklyn, Ohio.
Yes, I have. I do a lot of work down in Old Brooklyn. Yep, yep, yep. Especially some of those older houses. Well, most of them are older, but there's there's definitely any place, but they're not a hot spot like some of the other ones. The East Side, it is M. Yeah, that just totally went out of my mind. But it Mayfield Village, they have a lot out there, and there's certain parts of Menor. I don't know what it is about Menor, not all of it, but there's certain sections of Menor that seem to have a little bit more activity than others.
And then I'm pulling up this one because I missed my Borders, which Walden Books was a small piece of Borders. But Heather says, I worked at Walden Books at South Park Mall for a year, but never noticed anything odd there or anywhere else in the mall. I must be oblivious.
You know, when the mall is crowded, it's so hard. I think most of the people that work there noticed it more when they were coming in early mornings or they were the last ones to leave at night. Where their main problems were is during the building of the structure. The ghost tried so hard to stop that to going up. They just, for people that work with their hands, carpenters, plumbers, somebody, people that we all need. They're on their hands and knees trying to do something. They put their wrench down or their hammer down, pick up something on this side, work with it, put that down, reach back to get their hammer or the wrench, and it's not there. it's 25 feet down the hallway. This is the kind of stuff that they were doing. And I believe it was, I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was the JC building property, the section that they were in. They had huge garages on the backside where big 18 wheelers could pull up. The sewer smell in that store, they could not find out where it was coming from. That went on for years. They just couldn't, it was just like dead fish smell everywhere. It was horrible. I don't know if they ever found out what was causing it.
And I say that some of you might know already, but I was a manager for Borders as well, Tower City and then Sandusky. So, like,
That's
yay!
how we met.
Yep. How many years ago now? Forever, forever, ever, ever ago. Forever, forever, ever.
Gosh, I think was Borders downtown the first one, or was that the second store?
That was my first, and where
Well,
you,
that's where I met you. That was the first place I met you then, wherever whatever years you worked there.
yep.
So
That's mathing, and I need more coffee before I math back. And how long? Like, well, I've had Goddess Lee for this many years,
right.
and then,
Yeah.
and
It's like
then,
I pull out the toes, gotta keep going. Right.
yeah. Um, but it's funny. Well, it's been a while since I've been in Tower City, but I don't think that border spot ever opened as anything else. It always just stayed empty with their big construction paper pieces on there, and you could kind of look through and see the shelving and stuff still sitting there. And of course, the Sandusky one became the Books a Million, and I was there for a hot minute before I'm like, I'm done. I'm gonna go buy my own place now.
Yeah, well, I was out there too.
Yeah, I got you out there a time or two out there. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
and
I
then all of a sudden,
enjoyed doing the book clubs. It was nice, especially since it was people that didn't expect to see anybody there. In other words, they didn't come in specifically to buy my book or see me, but they were just in, and bookstores, people love bookstores. And so it was fun meeting people that way too for the first time. It was, and when I went on a Borders, I believe it was Borders, Barnes and Noble. One of them invited me to do book signings up in on the East Coast, and we were out there for to do houses. And I told Ted, I says, they want a book signing. I says, I don't think anybody's going to show up. I says, I guess if you want to go. Oh my God, it was so crowded, I couldn't believe it. So bookstores have a lot of sway on authors and what gets sold and what doesn't. That's for sure.
yeah, it's I love the smell of a bookstore and just the background noise of one. Um, we had an incense, and it was called something like Wildwood or something. I'm gonna have to get more of it, but I'm like, smells like books. Like they
Okay.
need to rename this. um, let's see. Now Vangela was asking. I'm sure she was one who asked. I can't find it now, but she was asking for some clarification about how are the native spirits protecting the land when they don't cross over. Like, are they doing certain types of things? Are they guarding maybe certain types of areas? Like, what are they doing in protection?
I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of them seem to be geared toward the critters. It's like they watch where, especially in Maine, Vermont, like very protective of all things the moose. Moose are one of the ugliest beasts, and uh, it's like really. And but other ones I saw where they were doing the pipeline from Alaska. Um, I forget which oil company was doing it, but oh my gosh, because they were going right through Native American land. They were not happy about that. So, I think it's whatever their job was when they were alive, they
Mm,
still have it once they die.
okay. And guess who's back?
Oh my gosh.
Lewis. How'd your project go? Are you famous yet? And then, do military spirits ever tell you government secrets?
No. And not that the government hasn't tried. I
You
did
just
some
don't want
work.
to know?
I did some work for one of the branches of the service, and the one was he was ranked up pretty high up there, and he said, "Can we get you to send a ghost to?" And he wanted this ghost to go to a very specific place. I said, "They're not trained dogs." I says, Sure, I can have one standing in front of me and say, "Oh yeah, I'll be happy to do it," but are they going to do it? And
On their time.
maybe if I could have found an earthbound spy or an earth, somebody that did that kind of thing when they were alive, maybe. But the amount of time that they wanted me to devote to them, to work on that as a project. I had two little girls. I had a business. I have a husband. I have a life. I would have never been out of Washington, D.C. And
Hmm.
you find just because something is good doesn't mean you have to have it. And so I never did. I still do work for all of them if they call them somebody's missing or they need information. But I just, I didn't want to be involved in that.
He's
Oh,
very excited.
jeez. Louis, I don't know the names of what the events were or the secretness was. I have no idea. I would
um,
love to go to New Mexico and see if there are spirits of aliens there. That's where they supposedly crashed.
because you've never come across an alien ghost of any
Not
sort,
that I know of.
right? Because there's different races of aliens. So,
That's
but
right.
never
So not that I know of. Right.
no dinosaur ghosts, no
No.
insect ghosts. Um, Trying to think, like, what other things would
I
you?
have seen water ghosts as far as a dolphin or a seal, or I have seen those.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting that you would see more of the water and not the
Yeah.
land.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen obviously animals on land too, but never a dinosaur. Maybe they just died and came back as, and there was no need for them. Who knows? I don't know why they never showed up. They
Hmm.
must all be at peace. There you go. I'll keep that in my mind. They're all at peace.
There we go. There we go. Um, Abe Lincoln is said to haunt the White House. Marianne should go back and talk him into crossing over.
Well, I was a Girl Scout. Actually, my mother wouldn't let me get out of Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout till I was 18, believe it or not. And the Girl Scouts went on a trip to Washington, D.C. And when we were middle school, I believe there was a trip to Washington, D.C. I have seen ghosts in the White House. When I went, it was so long ago that you could actually go through the White House, which I think they've got that very protective now.
Mhm.
But and there were ghosts there, but I got to tell you, I never saw Abe Lincoln.
Mm. Um, I would think if he is earthbound, he's got the theater that he could be haunting. He's got the White House. There's so many places given that time of history of what was going on.
That's right.
Um, so Dawn says she's heading to the Bel Air house to stay the night tonight. Any info there or any public haunted location that they might be investigating overnight? What should they do? Because there's Bel Air house here in Ohio.
I've never been there, so I don't know. Where is that? Is there a Bel Air, Ohio?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, and it's a place that I've looked at for events with you and I. It's just that it's because it's like a house. It's not like you can get a bunch of people in there
Nah, it won't
at the
work.
same time.
Okay.
So, um,
Anytime you go into anything like, as far as you go into any inn, hotel, B&B, you have your Quincy charm on you. Go wherever you want. If you wear your charm, you'll be fine. At least nobody will come home with you. What's it's That's not hard. That's pretty easy.
mhm. So here's this. I wonder if it's because dolphins' intelligence when it comes to the water, because octopi, right? Octopi, that's the plural. Their intelligence is very, very high. So,
Really high, yeah. Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with it because my miniature hedgehog, Pinda, she was not the brightest little creature there was, and she crossed over. I saw that snake, and I don't think they're too smart. So I don't think intelligence has anything to do with it. I think either it's choice.
uh, that's hilarious, Marion. Who's the most famous ghost you've spoken to?
Oh golly.
That could be hard because you've done a lot of work out in the Hollywood area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Truly. I mean, a lot of old time actors and actresses, but Barbara Stanwyck, I think she was probably the most, well, yeah, it would probably be her, Barbara Stanwyck. She was probably the most famous one that I've talked to. In our time period, downtown Cleveland, we had, oh my gosh, I will, Myrna Loy was in downtown Cleveland. She's definitely an old time movie actress. So there was, but like I said, in our time period, I would say that it was, you know, her good old Victoria Barkley.
Uh, one of our friends here, YouTube, says she lives in New Mexico and really likes the energy down there. Um,
I bet it's totally different because they would bring, I mean, and there's no doubt in my mind that there what they say is there. I'm sure of that. And so their energy, I mean, everybody's energy is different. So when you would go there, you would feel a different type of energy, I'm sure.
mhm. So we have a question from Instagram. It says, do you have any Quincy charms in the store? I don't, unless Marianne is visiting. So you get the Quincy charms from Mary Ann, which you can get them on her website. Or if you're local and Mary Ann's coming in, which now she's there at least once a month for the book club.
Right.
And you have all of your charms and
Yeah, we
pillows,
bring everything to that. Just it saves shipping and tax, to be honest. So it works fine for me.
which, what is it? July 19th is the next book club.
Next book club. Yep, and the book is,
I'm glad you have it because mine's in another room.
yeah, Between Death and Life, and by Dolores Cannon.
Mhm.
And I just started it. This is going to be interesting, very interesting.
Uh,
So
I was hoping that our local friend Julie Clusta was going to be on. She usually is. She does some Akashic Records study and work. And I just read a pretty interesting passage or part in the book last night that talks about the tapestry of life versus the Akashic Records. And it was implied that the Akashic Records were for people not spiritually high enough to actually look at the tapestry. So there was like this clear division. And I'm like, but it's okay. They'll get there at some point. So I'm like, did you ever hear about this tapestry in your studies and teachings? And that's hilarious. The cat just spooked at nothing and did the whole little bouncy thing. Um, because I'm like, oh, gauntlet's been thrown.
yeah, I would need more proof of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That just sounds a. I I'm sure there were divisions of all classes when people are alive, but I don't think it's the same when you're dead. That white light looks identically the same for everybody standing at the foot of the casket, whether they were a billionaire or, a homeless person. So I don't think so. And I think with the Akashic Records, you're looking for information, and that information should be available to anybody that can find your way there.
Hmm. So Lori, she's BS.
Thank
So
you.
um, I'm finding some interesting points in this book, and I think I'm only up to like chapter 5-ish.
Oh boy.
So this will be a fun book club, and I highly invite anybody. So we are also going to stream this book club meeting as you're watching right now. So you could go to either one of our YouTube channels. Please like and subscribe to both. And make sure you hit the little bell thingy so you get notified. So it'll give you a reminder like, hey, we're going live. Um, so, if you're wanting to and you don't want to forget, hit the little bell notification thing. But if you are anybody who is interested in past life spirit guides, reincarnation, this book is going to be up your alley. And apparently, different forms of accessing this information, even in and out of hypnosis, because what these guides are saying are possible. And what happens, some of it's been kind of thought provoking, and I'm like, okay, maybe. And other parts, I'm like, oh, I can hear the debate now. So please join us. We've got the book for sale, on goddesselite.com. So it's even up there in the featured. So, but between death and life, this is going to be a fun conversation. Um, when I looked up the author, I was going to try and invite her to come join us. Well, she has passed, so we can't ask her more info about these subjects that she was putting under regression.
Now, see, I'm curious. There's no doubt that when I die, I'm crossing over. I'm not sticking around. It's like, oh no, heck, I'm out of here. I will stick around for my funeral though, because I do want to see that. But then I'm out of here. But wouldn't it be interesting if she didn't cross over?
With the way her questions have been asked so far in the book and what she's trying to obtain, I would find it very unlikely if she didn't. But there was this implication that one of these clients in previously had chose not to cross over. She had things to go do, so she went back to her house, and immediately some of the people were hearing and seeing the ghost of her. But because she could not touch things, move things, manipulate, she realized she was going to get nothing done, so she might as well cross over. Well, this whole realization that you need to cross is enough, according to the subjects that are being interviewed while under hypnosis, that all of a sudden you just cross. That now you're on the other side because your consciousness says, this is where I need to be. And so I'm like, well, that's interesting.
See, that's what Ghost Whisperer did. That's what the show did. When it was determined who the ghost was, somehow they just crossed over on their own, which was such a sticking point with me with that whole show for 5 years. But, you know, again, that's Hollywood, so that's what they wanted to do. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to guess that most people that have a good handle on what's going on, I'm guessing that they're going to cross over. I don't think they're going to stay. You can do more if you cross over and come back than you can if you're earthbound. So,
Right. And Renee must have read the book. She says the next two chapters will get deeper into the levels. So,
oh, good. Okay.
and Lewis says, knowledge is power. No one is more deserving of education than the next.
That's exactly right.
It wasn't necessarily denying, it was kind of equivaling. If somebody is at middle school level, you're not going to hand them college textbooks. And the Akashic Records was the equivalent of middle school. And this tapestry was like higher evolved consciousness, right? Because this whole thing is we're all supposed to be evolving higher, and you come down here to experience things to learn to get better. And the higher you get, the closer to this tapestry you can read and look through. But
Yes, but see, when you cross over, no matter what level you end up when you go in, you can work on working your way up in that space, or you can come back and be reincarnated and work on it that way. You don't have to use the records to do it. That's not the only way to improve your standing when you die.
so, so we'll kind of cut because we want to save all of this for book group.
Yeah,
So please, get there's no cost to join. It's just you have to have read the book to
yeah,
have this conversation.
right.
But it's free to join us streaming here if you are not local and if you want to come
Yeah, and
locally.
it's from 7 to 8. It's only an
Hmm.
hour, and but like I said, it's they're fun. They really are fun.
There was a fun question, and now I'm trying to find it. Here it is. Which one is worth Earthbound Spirit or Hyper Child?
How
What if you have an
about an
Earthbound Spirit?
earthbound hyper child?
Like, what if you got both in one?
Yeah, you that would be your worst nightmare. Believe me.
Right.
We'll call that one a little poltergeist.
There's the boy again.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Let's see. Rhonda says road trip to Roswell since we have one of our friends
She
down there.
always wants to go on a road trip, this lady.
I mean, road trip could be fun. I'm telling you, we got to get that double decker bus with,
Mhm.
we can go speak on the outside of it, and
Right, right. Yeah.
um, it'll be fun. Um, oh, good. Yeah, Karen, we got your copy right at the register for you. Um, let's see. Have you ever seen a pregnant ghost? And if so, was the unborn baby spirit with the mother, or do you think it must have crossed over?
I'm trying to think if I've ever seen a pregnant ghost. Yes, I have twice actually, and maybe more, but twice that I remember. And yes, the baby stayed with the mom. So, and even in a car crash or that kind of thing, the one car crash where the infant died, the father was actually holding the baby. So they keep their kids with them if they all die together. And if a baby dies and nobody is around, then their guardian angel or an angel will come and get the baby. So they are never stuck, never earthbound. Like I said, over the years, I have maybe found 5 3-year-olds, but they talk like they were 7 or 8. The age I mostly see little ghosts stick around, little kid ghosts is usually 4.5, 5. That's where they can realize mommy and daddy are crying and they're so sad. I better stay with them, or so that's the age I normally see them, 5 and up. But no, infants never. They're taken immediately. They're fine.
Okay. Jim asks, do earthbound spirits ever find someone they knew that had died at a different time and place and to stayed with them in the afterlife?
Well, yeah, and a good example of that is nursing homes. Women live longer than men, and the little thing is, yeah, we kill you guys, so we live longer. But it's surprisingly the people that are in nursing homes, the women, so many of them have their dead earthbound husbands attached to them, and they're just going to cross over with their wives when they die. Uh, and I just joke about it, but it's really true, at least as far as I've ever seen. I've never seen a woman waiting for her husband in a nursing home, though. It's,
Hmm.
I'm out of here. I think that's the thinking.
Lewis is asking if you had did a video or live about earthbound spirits seeing aliens.
I don't think so.
Have you ever talked to an earthbound spirit who said, "Hey, there's some aliens going on," or saw one fly by, or
Yeah, they've tattled on. Yeah, no, I have. I have. And I know of. I know quite a few people that have died that have actually seen alien people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's more common, I think, than you might believe, but it does, yeah, no, it does happen. And they're not all conspiracy theory people that died. I mean, these are like normal, go to the grocery store, go to church on Sunday people, your regular, everyday person. So,
Your average ghost show never mentions the white light, not even the one with the thickly muscled guy.
never.
Karen says, when I cross over, I hope I have enough hands to grab all my fur babies that are earthbounds and scoop them up and go.
Oh, they'll run behind you. If they're earthbound, they'll just come with you. They'll go with you. My Bashan is waiting to go with me when I go. I'll try
Mhm.
talking him into going, with I tried talking him into going with my mother. And well,
Couldn't
I don't
do it.
blame him for not going with my mother, but anyway, that was nice.
I was like, no, I'll wait.
No, I'll stay with no, no, no.
That tells us a little something now, doesn't
Yeah, yeah, just don't even go there.
it? um, says, are there spirits around the Burrell homestead around the railroad crossing by French Creek Road? I'm assuming this is kind of in Illyria-ish.
Now, that's interesting because three people just got killed at a railroad crossing. It was just on the news. Um, and when, and I have been called in by the State Highway Patrol where people have gotten killed on train tracks, suicides on train tracks. Um, they hang around just for a little bit. They usually will cross over or leave when their body is taken away because a lot of them they're just standing there. Oh my God, what did I do? Um, and a lot of times I was called in for the car and the bodies were so mishmashed up that they weren't even sure who was driving. So that's what they were looking for, information on who the driver was and what I could, and
Mhm.
even if when they're dead and earthbound, they still lie. But anyway, but yeah, and just like these roadside, flowers and balloons that people put up when somebody dies. A ghost doesn't hang around that because who are they going to get energy from? But there are, especially when teenagers died, they really put a lot of memorials up for teenagers. The teenagers really seem to like the memorial. Do they hang out there? No, but they do go look at them.
Mm. Um, do, 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 do. Can law of abundance checks be printed instead of handwritten?
I think by handwriting them, you're putting your energy into them. And I realize you're doing the typing on typing, but what does it take? 20 seconds to write it out? It's, I mean, unless there's a reason you can't write, then that, if that was the only way, then of course. But if you can write, I would say write.
Hmm. Lewis says, if I was a ghost and I saw an alien, you best believe that I'm fleeing into that white light.
Yeah, but yeah, once you're dead, they can't kill you anymore. So,
Let's see. I mean, it's like, why are so many people getting killed at railroad crossings?
I think people have so much on their mind, and this particular one had absolutely no lights, no guardrails, no nothing. It was in the middle of nowhere. They interviewed a farmer that had his property right up against the railroad tracks. You could see the corn, and he said that this crossing was horrible because you had to almost pull on the track to see if there was a train coming or not. So
Oh.
this was one that really should have had some kind of warning devices on it. But apparently, half of the rural railroad crossings don't have guard rails at all. So
Mm.
but this is in Missouri. This happened, and they said to put railroad to deck it out like it should have been would have been about $400,000 to do. And states just don't have that kind of money.
Well, and I'm sure the longer you wait to do it, the more expensive it's going to get.
Of course.
Everything keeps going up in price.
And
So,
you got your radio blaring, you're talking to your friends you're driving in the car with, or you're thinking you're looking at your watch, you have to get somewhere fast enough. It's real easy. I mean, I've already driven in, wanted to turn down a street, and my mind was someplace else, and I went right by it. It happens. That's why they're
mhm,
called accidents.
yeah. Do. This is a very serious question.
Okay.
Do either of you believe no if aliens provide advanced technology of the administrative looking glass to government officials to make decisions for our world today?
Oh hell,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know
have a
that.
clue if that's.
I say serious because I feel like somebody from the government just typed that out. Specific.
Well, that could be an excuse if we want to use it for some people, maybe. I don't know. I what do they say? God and government, keep your nose out of it. I don't know.
I really don't have much run in with Alien. Like, there's only been a couple times, and it took me a minute before I went, oh, maybe that's what that is. Um, Otherwise, like, we've had practitioners who do a lot of work with different, star command beings and everything who are like, let's go outside and do a ship. And people are like, oh, I've seen so many since then. And I'm like, I see bumpkus. Not a
But
thing.
how many people look up?
Well, everybody's looking up, right? Because that's where they come from.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're walking out to your car, do you look up to see if there's anything tracking you? No, you're getting in your car to go get some supper and go home. I
Hmm.
mean, they're there. You got to look though. And now we saw them when we lived down in Wayne County. They were very, very, very abundant down in Wayne County, just like they are in Lorain County.
But see, I lived
And
in Lorain County for
I know you do. And they're there, believe me. And, but not so, excuse me, not so much up here. I haven't really seen them so much in Cuyahoga County. But Lorain County, Wayne County, Ashtabula County, yeah, I've seen them out there, but Wayne County was the most active. But then we had a connection, and that's why they were so we there was a foster child that we had that had some kind of connection. So that's why we saw them so much down in Worcester.
Hmm. Supposedly, the eastern um, lakeshore for Ohio has a whole bunch over the Great Lake coming in.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard of a lot of them zipping right down into the lake.
Mm,
You know that, but Lake Erie, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the most shallow of the five lakes. I would find that hard to believe that it would be Lake Erie that they, well, maybe, but you'd think they would be in one of the deeper lakes.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have much, so I can't
Right.
say either way. And Melody, we loved your question. Don't think we were making fun of you, but
No, no, no,
more
not at
fun of
all.
myself. But then I love Lewis, who's like, oh my god, the government have caught onto our group. Everyone disperse. We saw nothing. um. Oh, Geezer says I should have clarified. I meant printing the blank checks for law. Yeah, you can print the check and just hand fill it
Oh
in.
yeah, I do. Absolutely. Well, I used to before I had the checkbook, but yeah, absolutely. I
Mhm.
just took a piece of white typing paper, print, drew a whole bunch of the same kind of checks on it, identical. Took it to whatever those, where you go get office supplies, and I just had said, give me 50 of these on yellow paper, and you just cut them out. There, that's what I've used for years.
Mhm. I just rip up a piece of yellow paper into a little square and
That's
just.
right. You can do that too. As long as it looks sort of like a check, we're good.
Mhm. Dylan says I'm in Worcester, so Wayne County. Is there something good I should be looking for down here? Are there good haunted spots or alien sighting spots?
We always saw a lot of them on 83 coming in from 71 down 83 into town. That has grown. We've been gone off of out of there now for almost 20 years. That is so grown up now. I mean, when we go down there, I can't believe how that has grown. Of course, there's nothing in the sky, so that doesn't mean they're still not flying around up there. But I that's where we always saw them. I saw them over our own property, which was close to the OARDC, for those of you that live in Worcester. I actually saw them over the ATI and over the OARDC. So, yeah, it was, but I think with the rural area, I think that when they're in the sky, and they come down so low out there, I mean, I was surprised. I was really, and the one we saw was very big, a cigar shaped one, and there were three little ones that came out of it and went in three different directions.
Well, now we're getting
So,
all Star Wars.
yeah, yeah, it was like I'm sitting there with my mouth open, going, "Oh my God, they exist." It's like I see ghosts, and that shocked me. Why? I don't know. So,
Oh, this is funny. Amanda says, "What? You mean Melissa's not CIA? No, but a fun fact: way back when, for about a hot minute, I was contemplating like FBI and profiling. That's
you
the
would have
whole.
been good at that.
Um, but I'm an avid reader, and I was really into the Hannibal Lecter series, right? Because he had been a psychiatrist, psychologist before what he did, and just delving into this character. And in one of the books, he takes off with one of the people working with him, and I'm like, that would be my luck. That would just be my luck. I will be fascinated from out here. you know
Safer,
yeah, I'll just pop my popcorn and listen to my podcast, watch the documentaries
right?
on my couch. Almost
Comfy,
was government.
right?
um let's see. So uh, Miriam would have been the best profiler. You're like, honey,
Oh,
your ghost says you are.
no, and I will refer back to Judge, oh, I'll leave his name out of it. When I was called for jury duty, when it came out who I was, he said, "We don't really know who you're talking to. That's probably not a good idea to be on the jury. You might find out information that nobody else knows." With that information, the prosecutor says she stays. The defense lawyer said no.
Don't ruin our case.
That's right.
Rhonda, whoop, there we go. Rhonda asks, so when deaths are accidental, do they grab onto whoever is closest just to ground themselves?
I've never seen that. Once they're out of their body, because I've seen them come out, especially somebody on life support, they come out and it's like, oh, okay. And they just sort of look around. I've never known anybody except people that are put to death by the state. I've or people that were really bad. I've never known anybody to be worried or scared to go into the white light except them, but I'm sure it's because of retribution.
Mm, people like Clarence.
Exactly.
I would say I would love to run into him again, but I'm like, I wouldn't see him. So I could have somehow.
Well, he's the one that went back into the light. I mean, if somebody from that, he said he was in other houses on that street.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a possibility that he could be one that, is recycled somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Good old Clarence, yes. um, let's see. What's funny is Lori, one of my staff salesmen, she's like, I could see you being a profiler. And what's hilarious is so many people in the store are into the whole astrology and zodiac. And I'm always like, bullshit. And so they said that they're going to have a t-shirt made for me that says something that it's like, it's not your zodiac sign, it's your childhood trauma. And I'm usually like, no, What happened when you were little? Did mommy not hug you enough? Did daddy not go to your baseball game? Like, here's your real reason why you act like that.
Yeah, you don't want to blame the planet you were born under.
Nope, it doesn't care. It doesn't
Yeah.
like.
I disagree. I think there's some to astrology. I really do. So,
She's laughing at me. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the joke there. Um, so at any given point, if you are local and you come in and you hear astrology going on, most likely you hear like fun little debates back and forth, and it's usually me against the rest of the store. We ought to have cameras recording that at times. Let's see. Uh, you need a shirt that says it's not. Yes, and I need a shirt that says, and it's not Mercury retrograde.
no, it is not. That's the other shirt you need. Yes, right.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Julie. There she is. Rocks in the sky. Yeah. So, let's see. So make sure you guys. Oh, Lori, she's like, "Yeah, it's not from." And that's the other thing. We're like, well, if you're not from this planet, of course, the astrology is not going to work for you. Well, I had to be born on this planet, so therefore it should work. I'm on it.
Yeah, it should affect you where you were born. Exactly. Because they always want to know the time and the place that you were born so they can get the longitude and the latitude right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody make sure you tune in to Marianne's last, at least for maybe now, 5:30 video. And this one is what's this video?
It's just going to be less a few questions that came in, and it's and I've got some that I'll just save. And like I says, people can still write because we can answer them on the podcast too.
Hmm.
That's an option. So don't keep on writing. Absolutely. And especially write if you've left messages and I have not gotten back to you because maybe I did not get your message. So make sure you write. But just for practical purposes, until I get Ted straightened around here, the next 4 weeks, because that's how long he is down for 4 weeks. So we'll see. So we're not going to be going anywhere. So that's sort of grounded for another 4 weeks. But yeah, but tune in tonight, see that, and we'll do it again next Wednesday.
There we go.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking about that. I was looking at those letters. I was putting them on a pile yesterday, thinking, oh, I never did do this. And I was thinking, the problem is that's going to be a podcast, Melissa, that we're going to have to do together in the same room. Only because I can't read these. Because I start laughing hysterically and I'm crying and I make no sense. So if
Okay.
you could get through them, good for you. But there's,
Okay.
oh my God, there's some cutes.
Or I'll laugh while reading and just keep going. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, oh my God, oh my God.
we might actually have to put that one up on a private YouTube while doing that. So if we decide, we can always release little video clips like the blooper reel of
Oh
reading
yeah,
letters. Yeah,
oh
see.
there, oh yeah, just this last one with globs of slime. This, oh my God, I don't know how this, oh my
Oh,
God.
Brooke says we should, what the podcasts.
Yeah. At least one we'll do on those. We will. I'll get them all together. Those I'm not packing away. So
Um, let's see. Chrissy says, I'm not very tech savvy. I need help badly. I don't download apps anymore. I feel a generational curse is upon me. I don't know how to use Zoom or anything. Is there another way you can help me?
Chrissy, I don't have a curse on me, and I don't do any of that either. So you just have to find somebody to sit next to you and fix your computer up like Ted does for me, and come on and you've gotten pretty good, Melissa, at talking people through it when they can't figure out how to get on. I know it's aggravating, but you do it. So,
There's just a few where I'm like, it's something on your side and I'm not physically there to see your computer. Like, I don't know how else I can help you.
right. It gets
Um,
frustrating.
it is. And then it holds up everybody else who's paid to be there too.
That's
So,
right. That's exactly
um,
right.
putting out the recommendation for people. If this is new for you, if you've never really played with Zoom, Zoom is free. You can download it onto anything, open it up and play with it before you come on to the Zoom meeting. I'm sure you have friends or family who have used Zoom, especially with everybody working from home.
Find a 10-year-old. They'll know exactly how to do it.
Yeah. Once you have it downloaded, installed on your computer, which you download, and usually the little box pops up and says, "Do you want to install this?" You click yes, and it does it for you. And then you have an icon to click. And so when you get your confirmation email, you click that link, and it will force that app to open for you and just walks you through it. But I'm sure you know somebody who had to work from home or school from home who can show you how to do this before that night. Um, let's see. There was something else real quick. Um, but again, the next Zoom in July on the 8th, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
It's a
But
Friday, right?
yeah, we do one on a Friday and one on a Monday. Um, everybody will get to ask their two questions, so hang in there. New people usually go first, and I say usually because every now and then somebody signs up with a new email and it says there's no history, that they've never joined us before, so I think they're new. And I'm like,
How
oh
are
no.
you supposed to know, right?
um, here we go. Brooke says, can we do a white light YouTube for Ted like we did for Ukraine?
I think with all the prayers you guys have done, which has been so terrific, I that that was asking a lot. So I appreciate that. Let's, like I said, let's. People are making still praying, so I think we're good.
Um, let's see. But yeah, we will be working on the podcast sometime, definitely after the 4th, and depending on what's going on with Ted. So, like, keep an eye out for that. It's called When Ghosts Speak, just like Marian's book title. And it's available everywhere except Apple, because Apple didn't want to play with us. So, screw them.
We don't need them, so too bad.
Yeah.
That's
Right. Um, yeah.
okay. I'm going to let's sign off, and we will do. Oh, we will not do it next Wednesday. I almost forgot.
Oh, yes, because,
Ted's got an appointment, two appointments that day, and the first one's at 10 o'clock. So that's where I'm going to be next Wednesday with him at a doctor's appointment. So I will not be here next week. So everybody have a really good 4th of July. Please be safe and don't blow off your fingers, and have a good weekend. Enjoy it. And I will talk to you in a couple weeks.
all right, guys, enjoy. Bye.